What's up, friend? Hector here from strongestech.com. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to improve your speed, agility, quickness, and core strength using only one kettlebell. And the exercise we're going to be using to do that will not be the swing, it won't be the snatch, it won't even be the jerk. We're going to be using none other than the Viking Push-Press. So this exercise was brought to light by Kenneth Jay in Pavel's book, Return of the Kettlebell, which I don't even think is in publication anymore, so I thought I'd make a little video on how to do that because we recently designed some programs around the Viking Push-Press and we've had a few questions on what does that look like. So here you go, all right? So in order to get the most out of this exercise, you're going to need one bell that's going to be roughly between 20 to 30% of your body weight. So take whatever your body weight is, multiply it anywhere between 20 to 30%, and that'll be the sweet spot. Why that bell? Because that will be the bell that's going to allow you to maintain max speed and power throughout the duration of your set. So the goal here is max speed and power. We don't want to let our ego get in the way and try to choose a bell that's way too heavy, because we do not want any kind of grind at all during this exercise, all right? So I'm gonna get my bell, head on over to the platform, show you what this looks like, all right? Let's get started. All right, so now we have our 20 to 30% body weight size kettlebell. So I'm gonna be talking about how to, like the setup, how to get started with the Viking Push-Press, and I'm gonna be talking about grip, and then I'm gonna be talking about the breathing. Okay, so all of those components are going to be crucial. So the goal, like I mentioned, is max speed, max power. So, which is why we chose a 20 to 30% bell. We don't want any grind at any point, okay? So this is going to work a lot of the interior muscles. So this is gonna work your core, this is gonna work your quads, this is going to obviously work the shoulders, the chest, the pecs. It's gonna work all those things, okay? And essentially what the Viking Push-Press is it's a jump, okay? Just like the snatch and even the swing, it's a jump, okay? So it's going from this position eventually to jumping up to this position, okay? Viking Push-Press is quarter of a squat, jumping in this direction, okay? So that's essentially what the Viking Push-Press is. So let's start with the setup, okay? So whenever we're setting up the bell, whenever we're setting up, I always like to just be as precise as I can. So what I'll do is I will measure the distance about 1 foot, okay? So I don't just kind of randomly just set up and grab the bell. We definitely don't want the bell too far out in front, so that way when I reach over to grab the bell, I'm kind of like really exposed here. That's gonna give me a longer drag as I hike the bell back between my legs. Not good, okay? So what I recommend is 1 foot, okay? And then put your other foot behind your front foot. Then just step out, and now you're kind of in the right position, and you should kind of make this like triangle between the bell and your feet, okay? That's gonna put you in the right position. Now, how about how far apart should your feet be? Okay, and this is gonna be pretty, these setup principles are gonna work whether you're setting up for swings, snatches, doesn't matter. So this is something that I cover in some of our courses. So how far apart should your feet be? Everybody's body's a little different. I find this to be the most repeatable for any of our students and any of the guys that follow our programs. So once we establish 1 foot, okay, so like how far apart should my feet be? So between single bell, double kettlebell, you're gonna have a more narrow or a wider stance. So one bell, you'll have a more narrow stance. Double bells, you'll have a little bit of a wider stance because you got to make room for the bells to go in between your legs. So setting up, so we've got our distance from the bell. Now we need to know like how far apart should we have our feet. So here's what I find to be the most repeatable. Feet are gonna be right underneath your hips, okay? Feet straight ahead as if you're on a pair of skis. So feet straight ahead. From here, you're going to pivot your heels out, just like that, so you're pigeon-toed. Then from there, just open your feet about 45 degrees. That will be about the width for your hip structure for your single bell work. Should be pretty close, okay? So if I were to set up here and I were to get into on my skis, okay, then I open up my heels and I open my toes, I should be pretty much in the exact spot that I need to be to knock out any single kettlebell work. Swings, snatches, cleans, whatever. From here, we set our hips back. And when I set up for single kettlebell work, I don't like to set up the bell in between. So like we want that triangle, right? But then what I do here, right before I get ready to hike, I move the bell over to this side of my body. Why do I do that? I don't want to start in a rotated position, okay? So if I start with the bell right in the middle, I hinge back and then I reach, you see that my shoulders are already out of position, okay? Sure, you can kind of force yourself like into this position, but I don't like to force anything. I would rather just allow my body to get in the position that it needs to be. So what I do here is I will move the bell to this side of my body, okay? Then lean the bell back, and now you can see it's just easier for my shoulders to stay squared up, see? So once I get into this position, the bell's in the middle, as soon as I grab here, my shoulders are out of alignment. Sure, you can force that position, but I would rather just move the bell over to that side, and now I'm ready to go. So you see my shoulders are squared. From there, we hike the bell. Okay, so that's gonna be your setup. And that's going to run across any kind of setup position for your single bell work. Double bell work, once you find that foot position, you open your heels, and then here, to achieve double bell stance, it's just maybe like one more step open, and then you should be in position for doubles. Now, getting started with the Viking Push-Press, you're not going to clean the bell. You need to start from an overhead position. Why? Because once you're overhead, you want to initiate the Viking Push-Press and you want to kind of get some momentum going. So you're going to snatch the bell overhead first, okay? Because you want to get the bell overhead as fast as possible. You don't want to clean it, press it, and then start your push presses, okay? We want to conserve as much energy as we can. So you're going to snatch the bell overhead first, then you're going to get started. Now, one thing that you're going to have to practice and get used to is inserting your hand inside of the bell. I did a video on this a while back. You might be able to find it in the corner here. This is an old video I did on different types of grips when going between swings, strict presses, and things like jerks and snatches. You're gonna have a couple of different grips when, depending on the exercise that you're doing. And so for the Viking Push-Press, we really want to trigger the tricep. And so to get into that position, what you want is you want to get your hand as deep inside the bell as possible, okay? You don't want the bell horizontal across your hand and lined up with your callus line, because what that can do is that starts to trigger more of the shoulder to flex and get overhead, which you think that would be good, but we don't want that. That would be more beneficial for grinds like strict presses. But what we want is we just want to trigger the tricep. And so when you get that hand in really deep, you want that bell to sit on the heel of your palm, and that's going to get the tricep to turn on, okay? So once we snatch overhead, we want to try to get into that position at the lockout, okay? And one of the ways that I found the easiest to get into that position is a little saying that we have. I think I did a video on this also, on how to set up for the jerk. And it's something that I call thumb side grip. 10 and 2, what did I call it? 10 and 2, thumb side grip, let her rip. Okay, this is a little saying that I have in one of my courses. So when we set up with the bell, we want to set up thumb side. We don't want to set up pinky side. When we set up pinky side, that's going to allow you to get into a better position for grind. So strict pressing, get ups, things like that. What we want to do is we want to set up thumb side. When you set up thumb side, that's going to allow you to get into that deep position. So I'll show you what that looks like. So if we were going to, let's say we were going to do jerks, you would set up thumb side. From the thumb side, once you clean and you get into that position, you'll be in a nice deep, you'll have that horizontal false grip position. So you clean and you can see how I can get my hand really deep inside, and then from here I'm ready to get into my jerks from here. So that's the position that we want to get into once we snatch overhead. Okay, so that is the grip that we're going to look for. So now we've got our setup, we've got our gripping, the grip that we want to be in that position, and then we're going to snatch the bell overhead. So I'm going to show you just kind of what that looks like before we get into the actual reps and the actual breathing. All right, so you set up, you find your distance, you already know how far apart your feet should be. You're going to move the bell to the side that you're going to be snatching on, thumb side grip, then you're going to snatch overhead. So you can see how my hand is already deep. So if I were to rack it, it's deep inside, okay? So this is the position that we want to get into for the Viking Push-Press and for jerks and things like that, okay? Because I can completely relax my hand. At no point do I have to grip the bell. That's another big important piece there, is I don't want to have to grip the handle at all. I want to conserve as much energy as I can because I'm going to be doing reps as fast as possible, and I don't want to have to worry about gripping, and I don't want to over fatigue the flexors of my arm. Okay, so I want my grip to be really relaxed. And one of the ways that I think is one of the best ways to do that is you're going to tuck your fingers in. Once you are set up, whether we're not talking about jerks today, but if you were talking about jerks, once we're set up, we want to tuck our fingers in, and you're just going to be pretty much holding onto the bell with your index and your thumb. And that's what it's going to look like overhead. So I'm going to show you what that looks like in the rack position, and then you'll see what it looks like also when I'm overhead. So if this were to be racked, so you see how I'm in this position, and then I take my 3 fingers and I just tuck them in, okay? And I'm pretty much just holding onto the bell with my index and my thumb. But my grip is really relaxed here in this position. And so from this position, I'm now ready to do things like jerks, okay? But since we're talking about the Viking Push-Press, I'm going to snatch the bell overhead, get into that false grip position, tuck my fingers, and then I'm ready to start my push presses. So I'm going to show you the setup once again. Then after that, I'm going to talk about the breathing. Then I'm going to knock out a few reps, okay? So you see right away, I'm already in that position. So that way when I'm ready to start my first rep, I allow the belt just to drop right into the rack position, and I'm ready to start firing overhead, okay? So let's talk about the breathing. So inhale on the hike pass, okay? Then exhale as you drive through your hip, pretty standard. Whenever we're doing swings, cleans, snatches, that's all pretty standard. So inhale back, and then exhale, right as you drive your hip. The bell's gonna float. You're gonna snatch the bell like you normally would, have the bell overhead. From here, sharp inhale, okay? And then a sharp exhale as you catch the bell, okay? So you're gonna absorb the shock through your midsection. So this is where we're getting some core work, some cross-body stabilization is happening here. We don't want our body to bend or anything like that. So we're getting in cross-body stabilization. So I'm gonna turn to the side. As we catch the bell, since this is pretty light, we don't wanna catch it by dipping our legs forward like this. You wanna catch it just like this, straight down into like a quarter of a squat. So once you catch it, sharp inhale. This is where you'll catch it. Then another sharp exhale to power the bell back overhead, okay? That's kind of the breathing pattern, okay? And you're gonna be breathing pretty fast as you're going through this, all right? So I'll try to shadow it again. So we just got overhead, sharp inhale, okay? Okay? And that will be the breathing pattern. Now, another way you can do this to conserve breaths, take a sharp inhale to take in quite a bit of oxygen, and then you're gonna pretty much hold, you're not gonna hold that breath, but you're gonna hold the breath. You're gonna take in that sharp, deep breath, and then you're gonna use that sharp inhale that you took, and let's say we're knocking out 3 reps. So we've got a program that's inside our free ebook, Kettlebell Workout Snacks. Be sure to grab that. That incorporates the Viking Push-Press. So as you inhale, and let's say you're doing sets of 4, sets of 3, sets of 4, whatever that is, you're gonna use that one breath for that entire set. So here's what that would look like. Sharp inhale. So that's the breath I'm gonna use. Okay? But that's all based off of one breath. Make sense? So instead of recycling the breath, we're not gonna recycle. So that's your second option there. And that's the one that I prefer. Just one breath, knock out the reps, put the bell down, okay? But it's all on one breath, and I'm gonna show you what that looks like, all right? So we set up, we find our position. The goal here is max speed, all based off of one breath. You're gonna see my grip, you're gonna see what the reps look like, all right? Okay. Park. My mic is everywhere. I'm gonna face 45 degrees so you can see what that looks like. Hopefully I'm dropping straight down. This mic is all over the place. All right, so that way you can kind of see what's happening from a 45-degree angle. Goal is same max speed and power. And you see I'm in that same hooked false grip position. At no point am I grabbing. Completely relaxed with that grip. That's it. Bada bing, bada boom. That is the Viking Push-Press, okay? So to recap, we covered setup, finding that distance from the bell, showing you how to find how far apart your feet should be. Then from there, position, once you get into that position, aligning the bell with that same side of your body. You're going to be snatching the bell overhead. And then from there, you're trying to get into that false grip position, and you're gonna put yourself in the right starting point because you're going to grip to the thumb side. When you grip to the thumb side and you put your hand in the bell, that's going to allow you to get nice and deep. From that position, you take a sharp inhale. On that inhale, you're going to hold that breath, okay? You're going to hold that breath, and you're going to knock out however many reps you have. Your reps will be pretty light. So if you're following our program from Kettlebell, Simpler Muscle from Kettlebell Workout Snacks, I think you'll be doing sets of 3, 4, and 5, depending on the day, I believe. And so you'll only have 3 reps. So you'll take that inhale, and then you can also inhale in between if you want to completely cycle the breath. You can do that too. Find whichever pattern that works for you. There will be one that works better than the other, and then eventually you can also play with both of those, okay? So that is the breakdown. Viking Push-Press, the goal, max speed, max power. In order to accomplish that, you want to start with the bell anywhere between 20 to 30% of your body weight, and find which one of those bells, and you'll pretty much have a bell that's 20, 25, and 30%. So like for me, 20, 24, 28, that is like within my range of working the Viking Push-Press so I can maintain max speed, max power. All right, so if you're looking for a program that allows you to work the Viking Push-Press, be sure to download our free ebook, Kettlebell Workout Snacks. That link will pop up here, and it'll also be inside of the description area. So if you want an actual detailed program that takes about 15 minutes a day, 3 days a week, so you're looking at about an hour or less per week to get in great shape, to improve your speed, coordination, agility, core strength, etc., be sure to grab a copy of that. If you're liking the video, be sure to subscribe, be sure to like the bell so you can stay up to date with new videos, and even drop a comment. Let me know what you like best. Let me know which of those breathing patterns works best for you, and let me know how you're doing with that false grip. It will take some practice to be able to go from gripping the bell to inserting and finding that position right, because once you snatch overhead, you don't want to reposition the bell. You just go with what you got, okay? You go with, what's the saying? You dance with who you brought, something like that. In time, as you practice, you'll be able to nail that false grip right as soon as you snatch. Okay, so let me know how those are working for you. And that's pretty much it. Hector with StrongAsHeck.com with this week's Technique of the Week. Later.